Well, g'day footy fans. Welcome to Between the Posts, a special mid-season edition, and it's an all-star lineup today. The Saturday crew is in, but don't worry, folks. Tony Neal will make plenty of appearances throughout. My name's Phil Hurd, and I am joined by my Saturday colleagues, including my co-caller, Sean Jacko Jackson. Welcome, Jacko.
G'day, Phil. How you going?
A bit weird, new location for me. I've managed to get out of these, but the boss said long weekend you got to work. So
and came straight back and hosting the show. So Tony will be most upset.
Yes, wasn't my plan to take over, but these things happen. Also joining us, the most intrepid banjo rider in all of football, Craig Lambo. Lambo, welcome along.
Fabulous, and Jacko, great to be here. Long weekend, been camping, had a quick shower, and wouldn't miss this show for the world.
Well, we've all chilled out on the weekend, but there is some sad news, and Jacko, you want to dedicate this show?
Yeah, my mother passed away on Friday. Loved the footy, loved going to the footy, watching her kids and her grandkids play. So she's in a better place than she was, Phil. So for that we are grateful, but it's been a tough few days for the family, and so all of my family that are watching the show, that probably don't normally watch the show, my thoughts and hearts are with you, and this one's for you, Mum.
Well said, Jack.
And we're with you, mate. I'm sure she was your number one fan off the field, with or without a microphone as well. We do have a huge show for our mid-season. We're at the halfway point of the men's competition. Geoff Riddle's going to come in and join us. We're going to unveil Jacko's team. What do we call it, Jacko? The team of the halfway point?
Correct, Phil. That's absolutely correct.
And also Morgan Knight will join Tony for a full review of the women's competition. A big show. Sit back, relax. All coming up after the break. Welcome back, everyone. Our mid-season edition of Between the Posts, Phil Hurd and Sean Jackson. Buddybet Division 1, it's as even as it's ever been. There's plenty of contenders at the halfway point of the season. One of those teams that burst out of the blocks with a huge win, took our notice straight away, was St Peter's Old Collegians head coach Geoff Riddle. Joins us. Geoff, thank you for joining us. Not much of a mid-season break for you. Sorry for that. How's your year been?
Yeah, a consistent year for us. Sort of trying to find our feet a little bit. We've got a lot of new players coming to the team, and we had a pretty big pre-season, and we didn't play any trial games. So the first few games was all about trial and error, and we're starting to now play this type of footy. Taking out last week against Brighton, we're starting to play the type of footy that we want to play, and a little bit more consistent on the park, which is what we've spoken about all pre-season.
A few changes in the dynamics this year, mate. And traditionally, it's been the same 4 or 5 in the top 5. This year, we see some new sides emerging. Port Districts, Glenunga, Olding Nations coming up. It's a much more even competition this year, Geoff, than it's been for as long as I can remember. Yeah,
really, really tough competition. No easy games. Every week is a battle to try and get up and win. And you can't lose, otherwise you're in trouble given the tightness of the competition. But it's a credit to those teams that have come up. They've done their homework. The teams that have been around the mark the last few years, like us and Port Districts and Goodies, we've looked at weaknesses that we've had in the past and try to rectify that, and clearly everyone else is. And I'm noticing it's a very defensive sort of style some of these teams are playing at the moment.
Brighton in particular from your last game?
Yeah, in particular our last game. But, there's quite a few teams that are playing quite defensive, which is good. It's another tactic you need to try and combat. And it's really tight all the way down to even Payneham. They've won a couple of games. They're sitting bottom, but they're by no means easy beats. So it's a very, very tough competition.
Certainly was. The last round was the one for the underdogs, and if you're looking for an example of how crazy the comp is, it would have been down at Brighton Road last week. How have you reconciled going goalless for 3 quarters, being the number one scoring team in the comp? Unfortunately, you've had 2 weeks to dwell on it.
Yeah, it's been great. Watched a bit of the Vision. Wasn't great viewing. It was horrendous conditions down there.
Yeah.
And credit to Brighton, they did their homework. They had a game plan that they needed to do in order to get the points, and it worked. And yeah, it's hard to kick goals when you've got about 10 defenders in your forward 50, and you try and man them up. There's 20 blokes in your forward 50. It can be hard to score, but that is what it is. It's credit to them. They've done really well. They stuck to their guns and did a good job.
Do you think that that's tactics that you might have facing you in upcoming weeks?
It's tactics we've had thrown at us at numerous times throughout the year. I could name you 3 or 4 clubs that play that style of game, and they're getting results. So that's all part of playing footy. You've got to try and combat that and come up with other ways to try and nullify that and push ahead and come out on top. So we've seen it a couple of times, and we'll see it again before the end of the year. We just have to deal with that.
Well, I would assume, we're going to talk about the team of the midway of the year in a few minutes, Geoff, but I would assume that any team that's doing their homework on you, when they look at Jake Sutcliffe at centre forward, Jock McLeay at full forward, James Hargraves in and around there as well, it's a pretty powerful forward line. One of the things that we actually have been a little bit critical of in commentating some of the games has been the lack of defence from some of the sides. So I'm interested to see who in particular is playing that, but I'll perhaps leave that conversation to off air.
No worries.
But the other thing we've perhaps been a little bit critical of when we've called some of the games is the lack of game or a plan B from some of the sides that seem to be rolling out the same thing, and then the scoreboard drifts away from them and they continue to play the same style. I'm sure that you would have a plan B based on exactly what you've been talking about. And how does that look if the opposition plays a player back an extra? Are you looking to push one forward? I don't need to know all your tactics, but how, are you looking to play a front half game or?
It depends on the conditions and depends on who we're playing and all that sort of stuff. We'll try and suss it out initially and see whether we can combat still that by playing our style of game. Last week was a little bit different. There was probably too many back there that we just couldn't let them play free.
Yeah.
So we did have to go and man that up. But in return, as I said, given the conditions and the state the Oval was in, it was very hard to score with so many players in our forward half. But normally we'll, if an oppo puts one back, we'll try and have our spare back and try and free up our ball users behind the ball and be trying real precise when we go forward. But yeah, it depends. If that spare starts to get on top, then you've got to start looking at ways that we need to combat that, and whether that's manning it up or putting another round stoppage to try and surge forward from there. That's something we have to look at on the day.
Yeah, for sure.
The last few years have been challenging for everyone. You've had to go through all that. How have you found this year? Have you had any surprise injuries or COVID late notice? All those sort of COVID issues, have they dropped away a little bit, or are they still very prevalent?
Yeah, touch wood. We haven't actually been affected that much by COVID. A lot of our players got COVID in between that Christmas, New Year, early January period. And we haven't lost any players during COVID for this year so far. So touch wood hasn't really affected us, to be honest with you. I guess that's probably another reason why we've won a couple of games is touch wood, we've had majority of our best squad playing. We put a big emphasis on our pre-season, something which we were really poor in last year was our pre-season, and this year we put a lot of time, effort, money and resource into that, and we've got majority of our players playing every single week, and I think in this competition you have to have your best players playing if you want to be competitive and win every single week. So that's probably been our key, is having a consistent team on the park.
You mentioned a lot of effort into the pre-season without pre-season games.
Yep.
And you just exploded out of the blocks round one. I'm assuming you're going to adopt a similar tactic going forward then.
Yeah. I'm an advocate for no trial games. I don't believe in them. I think they're a myth, to be honest with you. I think they take up they cost a lot of money. Players don't make themselves available. You get injuries in the games, and you half the time you're not playing your team that you're going to be playing in round one. So I think it's a bit of a myth, and we do a lot of game stuff at training, a lot of game sim. So we couple that with actual running and all that sort of stuff. I don't think we needed any trial games, and I don't think you need trial games going forward. But that's just me.
Wow, you've heard it here, folks. That's a new thing in footy. No more trial games.
Well, I think 18 rounds is long enough. It's a long season as it is, and it also, this might be a little thing, but it also makes the players a bit hungry to come round one. They're sort of jumping out of their skin to play, and they. There might have been a little bit of that in our result round one, but I'll claim it.
Well, a little bit of controversy to start the show off. I love that. And I'm always looking for people with new ideas. So well done, Geoff. I'll be interested to see what about if we can push pre-season forward a couple of months too. And we start pre-season in January. That'd be a good idea for everybody.
Well, a long time ago when I coached in lower grades, we didn't start till February.
There you go.
We made the grand final, Jacko. So there's a.
Well, it's often not how you start; it is how you finish.
Yeah.
Wanted to quickly mention a legend at your club, Richie Factor-Milne, who broke the club record for 383 games. You still got Steve Brockman, who had the previous record as a runner at the club, which I reckon is fantastic. And a question for you was, Richie tried to get his son, Charlie, who's a Year 10 student at St. Peter's, to play with him.
He played.
You got around the
played, yeah.
Because last I heard we're sorting out some registration issues. You got it sorted?
No, they were sorting out because he's tied to Glenunga Juniors. And so to get that done on the system with his new system was a bit of an issue. But no, he got cleared on the Saturday morning, and Charlie played, I think, school footy in the morning, and then he played with his dad in the afternoon.
On his record-breaking game.
Yeah. Did they win?
No, they didn't, unfortunately. They lost by 2 goals, I think.
If his son hadn't played, would they have got up? No, I'm only kidding.
But hey, that's a special moment for the footy club as you have that culture, and great that some of those, especially Brocky, that played the record, but you can't get rid of him. He's going to be involved some way.
No, he's always there. He's always there, Brookie. He's a runner, or he's doing something there, helping out the D grade training. He's always there. So there's talk he may even pull on a Guernsey to try and get the record back.
He'll get to 400 first. Yeah. Jacko.
Well, we're going to get your thoughts, Geoff, on as I mentioned before, the halfway mark team of the year. We'll put it up on the screen now, and we'll start with the forward line because you've got some fair representation in the front half of the ground. We'll get your thoughts, mate. We'll look at the full forward line first of all. Sam Gray obviously come to the competition, first year in, probably as fancy a career prior to coming into the amateurs as anyone in the history of the game. 96 games for Port Power, 7 for Sydney Swans. Had a pretty big impact so far, Sam Gray?
Yeah, he's a quality player. Saw him 2 weeks ago firsthand, and he was clearly Port's best player against us out there. Just wins a lot of his own ball, gets them thriving going forward, and then he does rest forward and does kick goals down there. So no, he's worthy inclusion.
Okay. Now, obviously, your boy Jock McLeay at full forward has taken all before him. He's leading the goal kicking at the moment with 27, so he's averaging 3 a game. But it's not just been his goal kicking that's impressed us when we watched him. He's become a real general and a real leader of your side, hasn't he? He's almost a barometer, I think. Yeah,
he's part of our leadership group. He captained the team for a bit last year when Jesse O'Brien was injured. So he's one of our leaders, and he does stand up. He's someone that when he speaks, you listen. And he's been outstanding this year, and we spoke about our fitness. He's as fit as he's ever been, and proofs in the pudding. He's delivering on field, which is excellent for us.
I think he's possibly the biggest bloke or the most intimidating bloke in the competition. He reminds me of the full forward from Geelong. What's his name, the full forward from Geelong? Tomahawk. Yeah, that's how he reminds me of when he plays. In the other forward pocket, Mickey McMahon from Glenunga. Obviously, kicked 24 goals, played league footy at North Adelaide, been a great addition to the Glenunga side over the last 4 or 5 years. Have you played against them? Obviously you have.
Yeah, we did. He's a very hard matchup, Michael McMahon. He's enormous tank, one of the fittest guys in the competition.
Right.
Gets right up the ground and gets all the way back, and he's quite hard to match up on, and he kicks goals. And yeah, he's a very good player, and another one that's deserving of his spot, I think, in that front half. Okay.
Brad McKenzie in the half forward line. Obviously, once again, come with a fantastic career. Played 67 games for Nord and 37 games for North Melbourne. He's kicked 10 goals, and they've played him in a few different positions. We've seen in the last couple of games play predominantly forward, kicked 4 last game against Teach Gully. You've seen him play back?
Yeah, he played back against us, and all the vision that I've seen, he's played across half back. So whether it's depending on who the opposition is on the day, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I've only seen him play down back, and he's got an elite leg, probably one of the best kicks in the comp, and can hit targets in the back half. So haven't seen him forward, so I can't comment too much on that.
Well, you'd like to have him with his leg in the front half and Jolly from PAC with his leg in the back half. You wouldn't lose too many games. At centre half forward, mate, Jake Sutcliffe, who's new to the competition. You picked him up from Sturt, 24 games, I think, at Sturt. How's his form been? Obviously very good.
Yeah, Jake's been good. He's had a couple of quiet games, but the games where he has produced, he's kicked a lot of goals for us. He can play tall, he can play small, and when we need someone to stand up, he's someone that can do that, and he's having a very consistent year for us. And his biggest issue in the past has been just getting his body right. So that's been our aim, is to try and get his body right and have a good, consistent, strong year for us, and it's produced so far.
Okay. Ryan Spittle come back into the competition this year, went away, I think, to Golden Grove for a couple of years, was a terrific player when he left, and is also having a great start to this year.
Yeah, dangerous player.
Yeah, tough to match up on.
Tough match up. Played predominantly midfield for us and then rest forward, but I believe before he left Teacher Gully, he was a forward in their premiership years, I reckon.
He was, yeah.
But yeah, he's another good player. Again, can take a high mark, and he's good below his knees and does kick goals from the midfield.
Okay, across the wings, Will Abbott from Old Ignatians has been very good, kicked 7 goals, I think, as well from the wing. Obviously a good player, hard to match up on as well.
Yeah, Will's a good player, just accumulates possessions through the midfield. He played inside against us a few weeks ago, got a lot of it. Good player, obviously league experience, very strong over the ball. Very worthy.
Tim Baccanello is on the other wing. He's from Ross Trevor. Obviously spent some time last year with the Adelaide Crows and is a Division 1 medalist. So we know, he certainly is in good form again.
Yeah, handy recruit to get him back from the Crows. Because he was a best and fairest medalist.
He was indeed.
Yeah.
At the Crows, was he?
No, at the league, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he won the medal, yeah. Yep. We'll leave the on-ball to last and we'll flip to the back half. And one of your boys is the pillar of defence, Toby Schulz, who's, once again, how old's Toby now? He'd have to be 30, wouldn't he?
I think he's 31, 32. Yeah.
Playing good footy and a beautiful kick as well. We did a bit of an expose on him a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it at the club. Don't worry about that. Yep.
Shooter made sure everyone had a coffee.
Everyone did see it, yeah.
Been good for you?
Nah, Shooter's been excellent. I'd say I didn't see him play in his heyday, but he's probably in career best form at the moment for us across half back, and I think having the youth around him there has sort of rejuvenated him a little bit, and he's moving a lot freer than what he has in the past few years, and he's a father now, so he's
grown up.
He's grown up a little bit, and he's doing an excellent job for us. He's been a real rock back there, and as I said, use of ball in the back half by him has really set us up.
Well, that's what I did. We picked 3 blokes who are really good users of the footy across the half-back line. So Hayden Jolly on the one back flank, and Chris Curran is new to the competition. Well, you don't get any better than 20 and 21 SANFL teams of the year. Captain of the Glenelg Premiership, and what a recruit for PAC. They're two great players for PAC to have in the back half, aren't they?
Oh yeah, their resume speak for themselves, and quality players. Chris Curran, what a recruit. Yeah. I think he's playing midfield now for them.
Is he? Okay.
Against, I think prior to the first 6-7 rounds, he's been playing across half back when he can. He's just got this uncanny knack of just coming out of nowhere and just taking intercept marks, and he's a quality player.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of Brad McKenzie when he plays, in that the game, they say that about Scott Pendlebury, the game seems to stop a little bit when they get the ball. They have no trouble getting through traffic and got an elite leg. Go to the full-back line now. Will Mead from Ross Trevor. Also spent some time at West Adelaide, I believe. Played most of the year on the ball, but he's been pretty good and can play in the back half. Yeah,
Will's a good player. He's one of those ones that, unassuming, you don't really notice him. But quite damaging.
Gets a lot of the ball.
Yeah, he does get a lot of the ball.
Yeah. Zach Smith's an interesting one from Glenunga's. Played mainly as a centre half back this year, but can certainly play as a full back. And you talk to the Glenunga people and they say he hasn't been beaten at all.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him.
Okay.
He played. Did he play against us? Yeah, he must have. I don't think he played full back though against us.
Okay.
I think he played further up the ground, but I don't know too much about him.
Louis Whitelock's one who doesn't need a lot of introduction. I must say congratulations to Louis. Got married on Saturday and How is it you can train your incoming wife? She comes from a football family. She's a Mackenzie, so she's Brad Mackenzie's sister. But when I heard getting married in the middle of in footy season, I thought, no. Then I found out long weekend, won't miss a game. No honeymoon. Honeymoon is at the end of the year. You got any guys that do that in your team?
No, our guys just normally go to the snow.
Yeah, that's right. So a little bit like Toby Schulz. He's no spring chicken anymore. He's probably 30-odd, and by all reports is in career best form as well. Let's have a look at the midfield now. We went with Tom Carter in the ruck. We think he's been the most consistent ruckman across the competition so far. How do you see that?
Yeah, he's the best ruckman in the comp. Yeah, hands down.
Okay.
He's one that we look at every time we play Goodwood that we need to try and nullify his influence.
Well, he plays ruck, but his mindset is a rover.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a goal-snapping little forward in a big man.
Yep. One of the guys we love seeing play each week just gets leather poisoning is Nick Favretto from Goodwood Saints.
Yeah.
Been terrific, hasn't he, ever since he came into the competition?
Yeah, he's very, very damaging. His work rate is also very good, something that probably doesn't get noticed, but he runs very hard and spreads very hard from stoppage and gets on the end of some balls when the play started in the back half as well. So good big inside mid, so he's very hard to match up on, always getting that first use and first possession out of the ruck. But he's a good player. Yep.
And James Hargrave from your club, he's been terrific. He's had a really good year, hasn't he?
Yeah, Sugar is his nickname.
Sugar?
Yeah, he's diabetic. But yeah, he's been excellent. Not a natural inside mid. I was with him at Sturt, and he sort of played across half back, and then when I came to the club, he was a wingman in the premiership year in 2018. But he's got some good endurance, wins some inside ball, wins outside ball. And he's adding a little bit more strings to his bow at the moment and going forward and kicking some goals. So he's been easily our best on-baller this year with Ed Allen. But yeah, I'm really happy with how he's progressing, and he's turning into an elite player.
Okay. And the last starting midfielder is one I've got a bit of time for, a lot of time for. Cooper Gaffney comes from three Gaffney boys all playing at Port Districts. But everyone you talk to at Port Districts, and we haven't had the opportunity to
not yet.
Call a Port Districts game.
I have one at Karen Rolton.
You did one, and we've got them this week against Glenunga, so I'm looking
Correct.
forward to seeing Cooper play, but by all reports he's having a terrific year.
Yeah, he was really good against us a couple of weeks ago with Sam Gray. So yeah, again, another one, wins a lot of inside ball, very good on spread on the outside, very fit, very fast.
Yeah.
I get sometimes him and his brothers mixed up, but yeah, he's the one that's been dominating this year for sure.
Okay, and the four that just missed out on the starting 18, Isaac Hewson from Tea Tree Gully. Now, we've been lucky enough to call them the last 2 weeks, and he's probably been their best player in both of those games, so a bit stiff. Isaac being good touch.
Yeah, Isaac's good. Coached him at Norwood. Dr. John, we called him. He's elite kick. Another one, wins his own ball inside, gets it on the outside and doesn't waste the possession. Very good midfielder.
Yep. Another one that I'm really pleased to see in this side is Jason Niskahoos. He's had some real injury problems the last couple of years at Port Districts. Terrific lad. So he must have got his body right, and we've given him best player in one of the games, and he certainly kicked some goals, but he's been good for Port Districts.
Yeah, he's kicking a few goals this year, sort of playing almost permanent half forward, occasionally going in the midfield.
Yep.
But has been quite damaging in the forward half,
Yeah, younger player, Jarman Segal from Brighton has also been good.
Yeah, he's playing like a loose defender for Brighton and taking some really good intercept marks, probably one of about 6
of which you had many to deal with.
But no, he's one they really want to free up, and he's reading of the play at the moment has been exceptional, and he's taken a lot of intercept marks.
Yeah, no, he's good in the air. And the final player that makes a side note, once again, unlucky not to have been in the starting 18. He's kicked 24 goals from Goodwood Saints. Nick Burgess must be a difficult one to match up on.
He's probably the hardest matchup in the competition, to be honest with you. Very, again, unassuming footballer. Doesn't look like a footballer.
Tough, isn't he? Very tough.
Very strong core. He's very strong in the marking contest. You can't put him to ground, hold his ground really well, and he's got a knack of kicking goals. I think his job up there is to cause a bit of havoc in the air, and then on the ground he keeps his feet and kicks goals, and he's a very good player, actually, very underrated.
Well, that's it for the team of the year. Obviously, the team needs a coach, and we didn't pick one.
Yes, you did.
No, we didn't.
She did.
Who?
You got the duck. You got the league
Oh,
leader.
I did too. I ducked. Sorry, I apologise. On the back of the fact that you were top, I had Geoff's name penciled in, and then they lost the last game against Brighton, so Duck gets it. And, well, of course, I picked Goodwood Saints to win the premiership as well. So, and Lukey's got a few pubs, and I don't mind a free beer.
That's right. It's
Jeff,
sort of an automatic job, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. Well, that's it. Thanks for coming in, Jeff. We really appreciate your time, mate, on a long weekend.
No, I appreciate it.
And a big game, Ross Trevor, this week, going up to the Chateau.
Yeah, to the Chateau, the Taj Mahal. So we'll see how we go. Obviously, played well against them round one, but they had a few players out, and I think they're going okay at the moment. Almost full strength, if not full strength. So, we start again, really. The first 9 rounds don't mean anything now. We've got to go again.
Yeah, and which matchup you're looking forward to the most on the run home?
Which matchup?
Are you looking forward to getting Brighton on your home deck for a rematch, or is there a particular game that you've got coming up that you've sort of circled, or is it Princes at St. Peter's? That's always
Princes and Saints is always a big game. I wouldn't mind Glenunga and Brighton on a bigger oval on our deck. Yeah, so they're probably the two that I've myself penciled in that we really want to take it up to those guys. Yeah.
Well, you get Glenunga in a couple of weeks, your next home game. And Princes, mark it in your diary, Saints fans. Saturday, July the 9th. I reckon that's for most of the fans at least the biggest day on the calendar.
Sounds like you'd like to play at Thebby in the finals. I'm not sure where the finals are going to be held this year.
We don't play too well at Thebby. I'd like to play those guys at Thebby, but we don't play too well at Thebby. But so if we can go on another oval, that'd be good.
Well, I don't think it'll be at Thebby. I don't know whether the Renault has started out there yet. Long way to go before the finals. Exactly. I'm sure that'll be sorted out in due time. Jeff, thanks for coming in.
No worries. Thank you.
Great to have you, Jeff. Enjoy your week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome back, folks. Time to have a chat about Buddybet Division 1, and it has been a sensational start to the competition. Al Pacino was in a movie called Any Given Sunday. Well, in our competition, it's Any Given Saturday afternoon. The surprises have been plentiful. You look at that ladder, and there isn't much probably between the top 8 sides at least. Brighton have shown themselves to be giant killers, and Paynham got a win recently. So, Jacko, what's been your highlight of Division 1 so far?
Well, the highlight has been the evenness of the competition. Picking up the paper, or more to the current trend, picking up the mobile phone after the game.
Watching my weekly wrap.
Watching your weekly wrap. And seeing some of the surprises. Glenunga and Old Ignatians. I guess the highlight for me was Old Ignatians' first win in Division 1. We got to call that at Old Ignatians, Karen Rolton Reserve, the best surface in the competition. It was their first ever Division 1 win, and it's kick-started them, and they've gone really well. So I guess that was the game I enjoyed the most, but really love the evenness of the competition this year.
Lambo.
Yeah, look, I'm on the boundary line, and I see a lot like from ground level. I think the stand has been really, really good this year too, and also too. Like Jacko said, the evenness and the good style of football too. I mean, we're seeing some consistent, really good games. We're not saying, I can't believe that coach like that. And also, it's you can't pick 5 out of 5 at the moment, Phil, or you don't know anything about footy.
Yeah, just so we ain't doing a tipping comp this year because we'd all look pretty poorly for it.
I guess the other interesting thing is that Geoff Riddle we've had on the show, and he mentioned that there were some sides that they played who've been very defensive. Now, we haven't seen that in the games we've called.
Because we've done Tea Tree Gully 2 weeks in a row.
It's very much been a one-on-one game, and it's a throwback to 10 years ago. And we enjoy watching that game of footy and calling that style of footy anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, look, my highlight. I always enjoy Prince Alfred. I mean, I think it's the vibe in some ways. That day at Prince Alfred College is always special.
Yeah.
At Hogwarts, as you call it. But yeah, it's just the vibe of playing out there at the college, and it's a special day for the players. I really enjoyed the day at the Goodwood Saints as much as the game itself. But it was seeing a really good team in full flight, playing some really good footy on a special day with the breakthrough medals and so forth. And, of course, Goodwood Saints always look after us beautifully with the food and the drink. How could you not enjoy that day?
No, you're right. And the speech after the game from the Tea Tree Gully gentleman who presented the medal on behalf of his son, I thought was as good a footy speech. And I know that's been captured out there in the airways, but if you haven't had a chance to have a look at it, do yourself a favour and go and have a look at it, because it sent tingles down the spine hearing him talk, didn't it? It was a fantastic talk.
And also, TJ, it actually sent a message. If you need to talk to somebody or you're not feeling right, there's plenty of help there. And he actually he did a magnificent speech. You're right, Jacko. It was really good.
So there are highlights looking back now. Crystal ball time. Let's look a little bit forward. First, who's going to win the premiership this year?
Okay. I get there early and watch a lot of B-grade games too. So I'm a big believer with depth in any club, especially if there's injuries. If I had to have a bet right now, I would say Goody Saints. I think Goody Saints have got great depth right through to their C grade. They replace a lot of their injured players really well. The last 4 weeks, they're playing a really good standard of footy. Hard to beat at home. And good coach with a good game plan. If I had to put money on right now, Goody Saints probably playing a Port Districts or a St. Peter's in the grand final, mate. That's my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I was put under the pump at the start of the year and asked to give the top 5 in order, and I picked Goodwood Saints, and I've seen nothing to make me change that opinion. I think they've only lost 2 games, have they? The 2 games were Brighton round 1, when they copped the famous sling tackles. And then the other game they lost was the game we called against Old Ignatians. Yeah. So they've beaten everyone else in the top 5.
Yes.
So on that alone, we've been lucky enough to call them on a couple of occasions. I think Lambo's right. They cover injury really well. They've got a good balance. There's no, you look at St. Peter's, terrific in the front half. Goodwood Saints, I think, have got it pretty well balanced across the ground. So for me, it's Goodwood Saints. And they will play against St. Peter's or Port Districts. And look, I was going for Port Districts until Geoff Riddle mentioned that a few things, and so I've changed my mind. I'm going to go Goodwood Saints, St. Peter's.
Yeah, look, I mean, Goodwood Saints, after I saw them against Tea Tree Gully, how could you not back them? Admittedly, that was with a little bit of hindsight, ability to see something you had to predict in pre-season. So we all saying Goodwood Saints, and again, Saints and Port District. Saints are an attacking team that gets stuck in the wet. We saw that against Goodwood Saints, and we saw that obviously at Brighton. Port Districts are a defending team. Can they score enough to win? Defence wins championships. I'm sort of thinking maybe Port Districts, just based on that. Of course, I'm looking in the rear vision mirror. Another prediction I'm going to make is that Tea Tree Gully are going to be replaced in the 5 by Prince Alfred by the time the season's done. I reckon.
That's a fair call.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that one either. Based on what we saw, I mean, look, significant injury always plays its role, and Blake Penny and Matty Stent out of the Tea Tree Gully side the last 3 weeks has really crippled them, I think. They'll both come back in shortly, I would think. So that may give them a bit of a run. But PAC will be wary of PAC based on the footy we saw them play last year. So that is an interesting call, Phil.
Relegation, and there's a 2-game gap between them at the moment, and Prince Alfred already have a better percentage than Tea Tree Gully, I might add as well. Relegation, are we saying Payneham are gone and Brighton with them, or is one of them going to really pick up and some, like maybe Rocks, drop late?
Well, it's funny you said that, Phil. My 2 are Payneham and Rocks.
Okay.
And I think Rocks have got a few injuries at the moment, some big ones. Payneham haven't got any depth at all, so that's their issue at the moment. Losing 21 senior players who played A grade last year is always hard to replace, but you've got to do what you got at the moment. So that's my prediction, Ross Trevor and Payneham. Jago?
Yeah, I think Payneham will definitely be one of the sides to go down. I struggle with the second one, to be honest with you, because I think I had Ross Trevor at the start of the year to be one of the sides to go down with Payneham, and when we've seen them a couple of times, they've been pretty good. But some of the mail out of some of the players that particularly the key forwards that are out injured at the moment, Paul Fantasia. I'm probably going to agree with Lambo on that one.
Alrighty. Individually, medalist. Jacko.
Yeah, look, the bloke I never see play a bad game. Is he flashy? Perhaps he's not flashy, but he's a tough inside player. He gets a lot of the ball every week, and he's in the side that's on top of the ladder. Nick Favretto for Goodwood Saints for me. Phil?
Lambo?
Yeah, I was going to go with Jacko, and then after hearing
Geoff Riddle?
Sam Gray is an outstanding player, and it takes a good player to beat him. And Geoff was saying he wins nearly one-on-one all the time.
Yep.
So he's coming to the club with a record. Umpires will know that too. And Port Districts are winning. And while they're winning, he'll be in the top 3 probably most weeks. So at this stage, I'm saying Sam Gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, having said that Teacher Gully will miss the finals, I
You can't.
Yeah, come on, Phil.
well, I mean,
You have 10 cents each way.
Nick Favretto to me is the obvious choice. Okay, you've taken that. Let me provide the dark horse outside perspective. And Hewson never plays a bad game from what I see. Teacher Gully do win enough. He's usually up there. He's probably got a great collection from you at the games we've done so far. So maybe Isaac Hewson will be in the mix. Whether he can win, I don't know. Games this week, Prince Alfred host Payneham Norwood Union, last year's grand final matchup. It's 8th versus 10th. Chance for Prince Alfred to win a couple in a row and get back into that contest.
Yeah, I know you're very bullish on Prince Alfred. I think I've seen them twice and they've been poor.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what's the stimulus for the turnaround. I know Trengover's missed a few games early, and if he can recapture the form that he's capable of, that gives him a big kick start. But, I'm not sure. It's against Payneham, though, so, I think they win this one.
Goodwood Saints against Brighton at Goody, where they haven't been beaten. Brighton, upset them by 10 points last time. They won't get them twice.
That won't happen, Phil.
No, they are filthy on that game, Brighton.
Yep.
Old Ignatians hosting Teachery Gully. Last time at the Gullies, they won by 18 points.
Yeah, I think Iggy's, they'll win this one comfortably.
Rocks and St. Peter's. Round 1, Spock by 85 points.
Yep.
Hopefully closer, but I suspect a similar result.
Yep,
on form.
And the game of the week is going to be our stream game. We're all there.
Can't wait to go there.
Webb Oval, Glenunga.
Never been there, Phil.
I have been there, but not for footy, so I'm looking forward to that. Glenunga 4th, 5-4. Port District 3rd, 6-3. The 2 top defensive teams in the competition. Port District allow 58 points a game. Glenunga 64. So not expecting a lot of goals, but a pretty tight encounter.
Well, I'm looking forward to, I think I mentioned earlier that most of the footy's been one-on-one. By all reports, we've not seen either, well, I certainly haven't seen either of these two teams this year. By all reports, they both play a very strong defensive game, hence the good percentage. So tactically, it'll be an interesting game to watch. You know, as an ex-coach, I guess you're always looking for things like that to stimulate you. And so I'll be interested to see who wins that battle. But I'm going to select Port Districts.
Yeah, Port District on reputation more than anything else, I think will overcome the Glenunga's home ground advantage. Lambo?
Yeah, I'm going for Port Districts by 5+ goals. That's how confident I am. Yeah.
Lambo.
Yes.
And the final one...
We're waiting for Glenunga to host us on the weekend. Look after us.
Oh, they will. I'll speak to Rocky. There'll be food for you, Jack.
Okay, good.
Final one I should have done a little bit earlier before the run was the leading goal kickers. Who's going to win that? Jock McClay is on 27. Tyler West from Teachery Gully You probably couldn't have Jock and Tyler in the same team. I think that was with your team of the year.
Yeah.
Tyler West on 25. Jake Sutcliffe, he got in the team though, 24. Nick Burgess got in the team. He's on 24. And Michael McNamara got in the team. He's on 22. So Tyler...
you were stiff, Tyler.
Who
do you think's going to emerge there?
Well, it's always about consistency with me. And here's one for you. I reckon Burgess is going to be right up there, actually. Yeah, he's very consistent. So I'm going for Bergie.
Alrighty, that is the Buddybet Division 1 covered from coast to coast, up, down, inside out and in reverse. We'll be back after the break with more of Between the Posts.
Well, folks, it's time for the women's review. Half season is over. I'm joined by Morgan Knight. Of course, she is the captain of Adelaide Uni, but also one of our co-presenters on Between the Posts. Welcome, Morgan.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me.
So let's get straight into it. We've got a little bit to go through here, and it's very interesting because the teams had moved around this year. What have you got for Women's Division 6 Powerade?
Well, sitting pretty at the top of the table, Edwardstown are 6-0, so they have not lost a game yet this year. Loretto and Marion in 2nd and 3rd, and then we've got Modbury, Rosewater, Athelston in 4, 5 and 6.
Yes, and that is a logjam. Just looking at that, between 4th and 5th and 6th are all on 2 wins and 5 losses. Of course, your team, Adelaide Uni, when I say your team, let's talk about this a little bit more. Let's expand on it. It's Adelaide Uni. They've had a draw, but it's the C grade. This is outstanding, folks. This is where women's football is going. You've got 100 registered players?
Yeah, we do. We've got 3 teams this year for the first time in a little while, so it's pretty crazy out on the training track some nights.
Yeah, so multiple teams. How do you handle, you're the captain, you take the warm-ups, I understand, and on any given night, 60 to 70 women, can you imagine, out at football training and enthusiastic, smiling, music pumping. How do you handle the warm-ups?
Look, a bit of patience and quite a bit of yelling over the top of lots of people chatting. So, no, it's fine. Everybody gets around it. And once we get going, it's fine. And then we'll split up into our A's and B's and C teams. So.
Well, do you know if any other teams have got a C grade as well, or is Adelaide Uni Guests leading the way?
I'm not 100% sure. There are definitely plenty of clubs that have got 2 teams out there. I'm not sure if we're the only that have 3, though.
Well, that is fantastic, and good luck to Adelaide Uni down there. Whilst they're sitting bottom of the ladder, they're playing football. That's the bigger picture. So let's move to Division 5, which of course Tony's put upside down. So what are we looking at here with our ladder, first of all?
So we've got Eastern Park sitting top of the table. They've only lost 1 game this year. And then in 2nd and 3rd is Woodville South and Elizabeth. And
you look at 4th and 5th there, Kilburn and North Haven. What are they? Well, it's an anomaly with the games played, isn't it? Because there's been a draw in there as well. So 2 and 6 for Kilburn and 2 and 7 because that's a loss, of course, to North Haven. So interesting, our match of the round there. What have you got there?
So Eastern Park are playing Woodville South in round 11. Now, the last time they met, Eastern Park only won by 1 point. So I think that's going to be a really good game to watch to see if Woodville South might be able to do something about that top spot.
All right, we move on to Division 4, of course, sponsored by beautiful Villies. And let's have a look at the ladder there.
Well, Division 4 is an interesting one because there's been heaps of movement in the clubs in here. Pembroke are sitting at the top of the table. They've only lost 1 game, but they've actually come up from Division 6. And then you've got Jeps Cross who have come up as well and sitting in 2nd place. And then in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, Pulteney, Hectorville, Ingle Farm and Lockleys are all 6 wins and 3 losses each.
That's a very strong comp. You've got a couple other things on that Division 4, haven't you? There's been a couple of ins and out. Can you keep up with it all? Of course, Rosewater went out to Division 6. Just a couple of more things there.
So Marion actually started in this comp as well. They had 2 teams at the beginning of the season, but they merged with their Division 6 teams. They've only got their 1 Div 6 team now.
So Pembroke are right up there, but let's have a look. Our match of the round will be round 11, Pembroke versus Pulteney, 1st versus 3rd. So keep an eye out on that huge division there. Women's Division 3, 9 News. Well, a little bit going on here as well.
Yeah, this is a nice big comp, this one. There's 8 teams in this division, which is good to see. Goody Saints are sitting on top. They've only had 1 loss and 8 wins. Golden Grove in 2nd, Flinders Park in 3rd.
So it goes down Brighton, of course, Hope Valley, Mitcham. So Brighton and Hope Valley are going to fight out for 4th and 5th respectively. Mitcham are only 1 game off with their 3 wins, then Kenilworth and Scotch. But of course, our big game here is round 11 as well, Golden Grove versus Goodwood. 1st versus 2nd. Have you got any tips?
Well, so Golden Grove actually beat Goodwood Saints a few rounds ago, so I think that'll be definitely one to watch. And it is worth mentioning that Scotch did come up from, have dropped back from Division 2 as well, so they're still...
Yeah. Down the bottom.
Down the bottom.
You can say it. You can say it. All right, and as long as they're out there having fun, I keep saying, so that's what we'll look at. So talking about Division 2, Morgan, Cinderella's commercial cleaning Division 2, that is. What have you got for us here?
Well, Blackfriars is sitting on top with 6 wins and 1 loss, but I've seen Blackfriars go from strength to strength. So I think that they've just keep moving up the division. So this might be their year, perhaps. Flinders University and Gazer sitting on 5 wins and 3 losses as well.
Yeah, and all the best to Chook Greer down there at Gazer. I spoke with him a couple of weeks ago, actually, at a function, and very happy out there coaching, and his son's coaching the men's C grade as well. So a couple of great coaches down there. Then we go down to Tea Tree Gully. So they're sitting in 4th place with 3 and 4. Anglevale, of course, with 3 and 4 as well, which is the game we did last year where you did kick goal of the year, but you don't like us mentioning that. But fantastic. And then Henley sitting down the bottom with 2 and 5. But a lot of these clubs are just getting their women's program up and going. Some have been going a couple of years. There's a big game coming up. Yep. What is it, Morgan?
It's first place, second in round 11. So Blackfriars versus Flinders University. The last time they met, Blackfriars did win by about 40 points, but perhaps this is Flinders Uni's turn.
Righto, the big one now, Division 1, Buddybet Division 1. Of course, you have to be careful here. You're captain of Adelaide Uni, but you're going to put the commentator's hat on. And we've got... What have we got, first of all, on the ladder?
Well, reigning premiers Morphees are sitting on the top there with 6 wins and 2 losses, but there's been quite a bit of movement in the Division 1 comp this year, and this hasn't looked like this all season. So it's actually really good to see. It's very unpredictable at the moment.
And we were talking off air, the best female or women's game of football in the home and away series. We were lucky enough to live stream 2 weeks ago, and I was there calling it. Happy Valley were on top. Morphy Park were second. Happy Valley led by 12 points at all 3 breaks, and Morphy Park kicked 2 goals 5 in the final quarter and came out and won the game. And now they are sitting up the top, of course, last year's premiers. Happy Valley second, Old Iggy's and Adelaide Uni. So Old Iggy's and Adelaide Uni are on 4 and 4. But 3rd and 4th, those 2 teams are only 1 game off second. Who's rounding out the last 3 positions there, please?
So Paynham sitting 5th with 3 wins and 5 losses, and then you've got Smosh in 6th and Broadview in 7th position. But I think it is worth noting that it has, we have had top playing bottom, and bottom have been the clear winners as well. I also think it's worth noting that Happy Valley and Old Iggy's have both come up from Division 2 this year. Yes. So I think it's really important to see how strong that Div 2 competition is, where we've got these teams coming out and beating historically very, very good Division 1 teams and beating them quite well. So it tells you a lot about the Div 2 comp too.
And you're right in the mix. You're there on game day. You're playing these teams, so you do see a lot. I think I'm going to allude to something here, and then we're going to have a little bit of a discussion around how impressive women's football is, where it sits currently, how it might look in the future. But let's have a look. I've picked a game that I think is certainly going to be a very big day. You're involved in it, and I've sort of sprung this on you. It's Adelaide Uni, who are in 4th, versus Morpheville Park, who are sitting top. And there's only 2 games difference. However, something a bit bigger than the game itself. It's Pride Month and it's Pride Round. For those of us out there that would like to know a little bit more, what actually is Pride Round and what's the celebration?
So that's a good question, Tony. I think for a little bit of context, Morphees and Adelaide Uni have both been Division 1 teams for a very long time, and we've got a bit of a fierce rivalry which has turned into a nice friendship, and we decided that it was football's bigger than us and that we actually need to start celebrating things that are important to us. And so about 4 years ago we had our very first Pride round where we celebrate all things that are part of all the cultures in our club. We celebrate diversity, and we just make sure that our clubs are a safe space for those, all the women and men as well, and especially for those younger women that are coming up through the ranks too.
And you've got a new kit apparently for the day. Tell us first of all, what is the kit? We don't need an excuse to want to wear rainbow, but we do have a beautiful rainbow Guernsey that our players design, and we've got another one coming this year, hopefully, if it gets here in time. And Morphees have had some very good Guernseys in the past as well. So, it's just an excuse for us to wear some rainbows and
celebrate everything that we love about our women.
Well, it is. It's a magnificent celebration, and it should be up there celebrating as well. But the thing that I love that you mentioned, it's not just the women, it's supported by the whole club. So tell us what's happening with the whole club, women and men.
So at uni, and I'm sure that Morphy Park did the same thing as well, we've extended our Pride round into the men's competition too. So our A-grade men have been wearing rainbow socks for the last couple of years, and this year they've got their very own Pride Guernseys on the way as well. So we are hoping, again, we hope that they get here in time, because it's great to have those as a bonus to celebrate. But yeah, it's good to see that the men are getting around us as well and really supporting our mission as a whole club.
And I think that's fantastic, because it's about being inclusive. And where do you get your support in our world these days? A lot of it comes from your sporting club. So fantastic initiative by those two clubs, and hopefully it grows and a couple more clubs, a lot more clubs get on board, because I know the AFL and all that are in and around it as well. So let's talk a little bit more now about women's football in general, because really excited about this. First of all, a little bit about the SANFL players. So there's been a whole mob of SANFL players coming back in, which has changed the look of the league.
It does. I think it's great to see now that the SANFL players, the women that are coming back from SANFL, aren't just playing in Division 1 teams anymore. They're actually spread right across the league, which is good, because it encourages experience and development in all the clubs as well. With the Division 1 comp, it does have a bit of an impact. You know, we have a lot of players who are aspiring, and they go off and over their summer and they play SANFL, and then they come back to their amateur clubs. And I think this year it was, if you played 4 or less league games, you're eligible to play in the amateurs. So we're having those women kind of bleed back through now into the club, which is really good for those young girls for their development, and it's good to have that experience on the field as well.
Well, it gives a bit of pathway, and like I said, the leadership. I'm very interested, as I said the other week that game went to, I'm seeing now with women's football, the skill level, it's more than just come out and have a kick and a catch and teach you how to hold the ball and mark. It's getting now into the micros of, this is where you need to stand, this is what you do on one side of your body, the other side. How much work is done on skill, execution and sticking to positions at training?
I think once upon a time it really kind of depended on what division you're playing in, and if you're playing A grade or B grade. I think now clubs tend to look at positioning and skills a similar kind of 50-50 almost, particularly during pre-season as well, because everyone needs to know how to kick and catch and handball, but also all those transferable skills that women are bringing from other sports, you can actually apply that to football training drills as well, so they're just as important. But I mean, it's always good to keep your skills up to date, I suppose.
So Morgan, what we're seeing too is a lot more of the girls sticking to positions. It is about competing, there's a lot of that, and it's combat on game day. How much work are you doing under pressure and match simulation at training nowadays?
Plenty. I think it's not just token pressure anymore at training either, as it might be during pre-season. You actually need to have that full physical contact as well. And the first hit always hurts the most, but I think once you kind of get used to it, and you see some of these inexperienced players come out, and you can see that they're quite hesitant, but by the end of the season they're right in there, if not more so than some of the more experienced players. So. And
also the enjoyment factor, I've seen it in men's, but it's gone up to another level with the women. The noise, the girls are still out there in combat, but smiling like you are now, smiling while the game is on, while things are happening. I've seen competitors pat each other on the back and say, well done, clap goals for the opposition. Tell us a little bit more also, this is the big one, the warm-up pre-game and at training, and the music. It's blaring.
It's not just at trainings, also on match day as well, in the change rooms. It really just helps to pump everybody up, and I think it's a great way to bring people together and have them singing and dancing and carrying on as much as they can, because we come from all walks of life, so we need something that unites us sometimes, and that can be music.
And Morgan, I think a lot of us out there are really impressed, a byproduct of everything we've just spoken about, the scoring. The scoring is accurate, and it just seems to be escalating. It's getting higher and higher as the season goes on. As you and I went through that ladder and you said, oh, they kicked this amount and they won by that amount. So tell us a little bit more about the scoring.
It's crazy now to think that 60, 70, 80 points is a normal score for a women's match. I remember when I first started playing Division 4 many, many years ago, and we might kick maybe 9 behinds in one game. And we would win by kicking 9 behinds in one game. And now it's, we're kicking 2, 3, 4, 5 goals a quarter. And so I think that just goes to show how much our skills are developing, and they will continue to develop, and that we can match the men's scores, and that we will one day. So, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, Morgan, it's always a pleasure to catch up. We commentate together. Hopefully we can get the finals again this year. Hopefully we can dress up as well. All the best for the rest of the season. Stay safe. Thank you so much for coming in and opening a lot of people's eyes on what is happening around women's football, because it is escalating. It's still growing. The scoring's getting higher and higher, as we discussed. There are so many positives out there for women's football. Your credit to yourself and to your club, of course, and we thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks very much, Tony. My pleasure.
All right, and that's it for the women's football. Keep an eye on the second half of the season.
Welcome back, folks. Between the posts, Queen's Birthday long weekend. No footy, but plenty of footy to discuss on our mid-season show. Breakthrough Mental Health Foundation Division 2. We saw Old Iggy's Glenunga go up. Mercedes Jets and Adelaide Uni come down into it. Coming up was North Haven and Gazer. How's it all come about the halfway point? The story, Jacko, probably has to be Broadview.
Yeah, they're undefeated. Their recruiting was exceptional. They're certainly taken all before them and undefeated. One of the few teams I would have thought that are undefeated, Phil, on the A-grade teams.
Golden Grove and Trinity, I think, are
three,
the others.
Yeah.
And Broadview won 7 games last year, finished 6th. So they've won more games at the halfway point than they won all of last year. And I think they've got some renos planned. Not think they're under construction yet. So, yeah, they're looking at Div 1 because... they've got a 2-game gap on Sacred Heart and Athelston, and North Haven, as to North Haven, 3 games back. Broadview and Sacred Heart play each other this week at Broadview. If the Tigers get up there, then that's a 3-game gap, 8 to go. They're going to be minor premiers. Got to win 1 game out of 2 to make Div 1 next year.
Yep, it's all in their hands. The interesting one's Athelston. Their new club rooms is open, and I haven't seen it, but by all reports, it is the Taj Mahal. They're talking it's better than Ross Trevor.
Wow.
That's
a big call.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure how many home games they got to play in the front half of the year with the fact they had no club. Be interesting to see that. But they're poised in 3rd position.
They're in 3rd position. So you're going to have Sacred Heart, Athelston, North Haven. Probably one of them's going to challenge Broadview.
Yep.
North Haven looked to be that team, but they slipped up against Salisbury North in one of the weirder results we've had this year. Athelston, Sacred Heart, pretty consistent.
Foss Hamden boys, they started off the season really well. They won the first 3.
Yeah.
Lost the last 4 or 5. Look, I'll keep an eye on Foss Camden too for the later half of the year, boys.
Yeah. Is there anyone out of the 5 that you think can make the 5? So Henley are out, are they?
They are. Let me give you they're out by percentage. Did I jot it down here? Henley's percentage is 53.187. Foss is 53.333. So, they're pretty tight. They play each other July 23 to make the finals. Whether they can challenge Broadview, Sacred Heart, I'm not so sure.
No, I think it's always important to try and play finals, isn't it? So, if they can get into the bottom end of the finals and get 1 or 2 games for the young kids, it's great experience. So the bottom end of the table, Phil, is equally interesting, I think.
Well, Adelaide Uni have come good just recently.
Yeah.
Gazer, which meant they went up and Gazer slipped to bottom. So there's 4 teams, 2 spots. Could we see Adelaide Uni or only Mercedes drop 2 divisions in 2 years? Gazer go up and come back down. And Salisbury North... They have extremities. 1 goal, 6 against Henley, upset North Haven. They play Sacred Heart and they lose by 1 point.
Yeah, big game out at Salisbury North in early July, which we'll be calling that game. And it's a centenary game, I think, but more details about that game to come. Look, if I was going to put some kahunas on the line and say who's going to miss, I've got no idea.
Look, only Mercedes they have really improved the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, they have.
Tomo probably would have said to himself after the first 4 games, what have I done? But I've heard a bit, I've spoken to a few of the guys there, and they're really united. So, and they support him. So, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Unley, we're having a conversation, Phil, in 4 weeks' time, they could be knocking on the 5, mate.
Okay.
That's
They
a
could
big
be
call from
knocking
the
on the
land.
5.
Who's
They're 2 games back.
Who's the 2 out? Who's going to drop out?
Out of the 5 or...
No, out of the 10. Out of the 9 and 10. Who's going to finish?
Oh,
get
Gazer are
relegated?
going down.
Gazer.
Gazer are definitely going down. And you know what? So's Adelaide Uni.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know it's a massive call, yep.
Well, they're playing each other in the final round, so that could be for a survival game.
Yeah, well, Adelaide Uni, there'll be a lot of trips now, mid-year. They'll be going to skiing, going away.
Snow trips.
It's called exams, Lambo.
Yeah, well, I understand that, Phil, but I'm calling it holidays. Right? And I just don't think Adelaide Uni got depth at all, mate,
Okay.
at the moment. So,
The leading goal kickers, Nathan Gordon, speaking of big names, at Broadview with leading 36. James Solly, a regular at North Haven on 26. Stephen Wellington at Salisbury North, 25. And Tristan Karusra?
Tristan Kakuro.
Kakuro, thank you, Jacko, from Sacred Heart with 25. So Gordon's got a 10-goal gap. The games this week, well, Gazer play Henley, 10th versus 4th. Sharks should get up there. Athelston and Adelaide Uni at Max Amber. Athelston, you'd think. Only Mercedes North Haven. You'd think the Magpies.
you like to think so. You never know.
Lambo's gone Unley, I reckon.
Yeah, yep.
Salisbury North and Foss, who knows? 2 teams that have been up and down like yo-yos.
And where's that being played, Phil?
Salisbury North.
Okay, big game for
And then the big game at Broadview as mentioned, the Tigers. If they win that, I reckon they're halfway to Division 1.
5 very good games in Division 2
Yeah.
this week coming up.
And you're off to Salisbury North celebrating the centenary in a couple of weeks. We think Broadview will be in the grand final. Who's going to be there with them?
That's a massive cooler game, Phil.
Look,
You think Broadview might slip?
All I'm saying is they haven't had hardly any injuries at the moment.
what if
Okay.
the new recruit's going on a golfing trip or something? You worried about that, Lambo?
No, Greg Norman rang him up.
Oh, they got a
there
few
could be
spots.
something there too.
A few spots in there.
So, exactly right.
No,
I
I think
don't know.
Broadview make the grand final, and I think
They
they play
should.
Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. It'll be a shocker if they didn't. We'll be back after the break.
Well, folks, welcome along. It's time for the big Division 3 wrap. My name is Tony Neal and I'm joined by Vince Cosme. Welcome, Vince.
Thank you, Tony. Welcome to you too and to all our viewers.
Well, let's have a look at Division 3, mate. I think what we'll do is I'll go through the top 5. You can go through the bottom 5. So what have you got for us, Vince?
Okay, so with the bottom 5, I know you'll get on to Seaton Ramblers, but they're sort of clinging a bit to 5th spot at the moment, well below the top 4 sides. Smosh and Westminster played the only draw in the two of the sides that I'll be talking about. Always interesting when one team kicks a goal more and the other team kicks 6 points more. How does that dynamic work? If you've had more scoring shots, you think you've lost it, and if you've had less scoring shots, you think you've stolen a half a win. But that was in round 2. Obviously, Smosh involved with that. They started the season a little bit slowly, but they've won 3 of the last 4. Their only loss was to Modbury a couple of weeks ago now. They're only half a game behind Seaton Ramblers. If they are able to get those same sort of results in the last 3 or 4 games of the season, that could actually push them up into the 5, and they'll be obviously pleased to be able to then take part in the finals. Westminster are a game behind them, obviously, with both those teams. Both those teams, there's no influence on percentage unless they have another draw, of course, in the second half of the year. So their draw in round 2 was split by close losses to Flinders Park and Edwardstown, 2 teams that you'll talk about shortly. And then they kickstarted their season with a big 100-point win over CBC, which I'll get onto very soon. They then were going okay. Golden Grove caught them on the hop last week. No disgrace given the form the Kookaburras at the top of the ladder. Despite their 3-1-5 record, they've actually been quite competitive in a lot of their losses that they've had. They've all been by 20 points or less, apart from that one against Golden Grove. So if they can reverse a couple of those losses, maybe the teams that they played away, they'll get them at home, which is always a bit of an advantage.
That's an interesting one. Yeah.
They'll actually fancy fancy themselves to maybe sneak up into the 5 as well. However, they will play Golden Grove at Golden Grove in the last game. Golden Grove, you would have expected, may have stitched up the minor premiership, but and may do a bit of fine tuning, so that may offer an opportunity for them. But the fact that the other game is obviously at the moment 5th versus 6th. So
what do you got for Morphy Park, Scotch and CBC?
Yeah, well, they're all on the same amount of points. 8th to 10th, all on 2 wins. Moorfield Park up from Division 4, along with Smosh, of course. They've had a good win over Edwardstown, but then they suffered consecutive losses after that to the 2 teams that are below them, just on percentage, that have had the 2 wins. Their other win was against Westminster. Scotch, I'll just get on to shortly because I've got a bit to say on them. But CBC, with their 2 wins have been against the 2 teams that are also on 2 wins. But their percentage is a little bit off as well, so that sort of means to me that they actually need to get above those teams above them to probably survive. I just want to go on Scotch for a little bit now. For those who remember, the last game in Division 2 last year, Scotch had to win and Athelston had to win. They were fighting to not get relegated. Now, Scotch did have a good win against Sacred Heart, Old Collegians, who were in the top 3rd spot at that time. Athelston did beat Salisbury, who were out of the finals by a bigger margin and actually leapfrogged and actually survived in Division 2 just by less than 1%. Now, go on half a season, and you look at how important one game can go. Yeah. Go on half a season. Athelston have played 9 away games, 6-3, and in Division 2, right in the finals race. And potential with 9 home games to come, looking to get up to Division 1 again. Half a season later, Scotch got relegated and now in trouble of potentially getting relegated again.
And we touched on the show as well, they've changed their coach and we've gone through that, of course. But a couple of issues down there, Vince. Yeah,
so for mine, Seaton Ramblers, maybe in a little bit of strife. Smosh, a fair chance of maybe overtaking in Westminster. It'll come down to that last game against Golden Grove.
All right, so let's have a look at the top 5. Golden Grove, of course, sitting on top with their 9 wins. Flinders Park 7-2 in 2nd. Edwardstown 7-2 in 3rd, and dropped that game, as you said, to a team lower down the ladder. Modbury 6-3, Seaton Ramblers 4-5. So, of course, Edwardstown are looking good because the coach knows how to prepare a team, and he also has proven record in winning finals. So keep an eye on Edwardstown in 3rd place. And Modbury sitting in 4th. Well, they won 5 out of their first 6 games. They were flying. Then, of course, round 7 loss, round 8 win, and round 9 loss. So they've had that little bit of up and down now, but they may be pushing again. So it's really tight in those top 4 with Golden Grove, of course, way ahead. Because Modbury also are 2nd on points, whilst they are sitting 4th on the ladder. They're actually 2nd in their 4. So I love looking at the for and against. So they obviously got very strong scoring up there. So they will be a real danger. And of course, as you mentioned, Vince, Seaton, can they hang on to 5th position? There's a real ding-dong battle on there with that 5th position. Just looking forward in our roundup, the big game, of course, is going to be round 11, Golden Grove versus Flinders Park, 1 versus 2. That, folks, is our wrap-up of Division 3.
Nine News, teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
Welcome back, everyone. Mid-season special between the posts. Time to have a look at the 9 News Division 4. And I don't know, gents, it seems to be a similar story every time in the minor round we look at this division. And there's Pembroke out on top there. The same again, 8-1, 58%. Is this the year the Kings will be coronated and finally get to Division 3?
Look, I don't know, Fab, but I coached Pembroke many years ago, and they didn't make the finals very much there. But 3rd time lucky. Well, there can't be any excuses this year with Pembroke, I don't feel.
You'd be very disappointed if you're a Pembroke involved in Pembroke and they didn't make the grand final and go up a division on the back of an 8-1 start. The percentage is not massive, 58%, they're no different to Walkerville, and Plimpton actually, who in third spot, have got a slightly higher percentage. So that says they're not smashing teams.
Yep.
Hey, as long as they've got Alec Forster to kick to, Phil, my boy, I'm not sure he can get to 100. What's he on, 47 and a half?
46.
46.
And he's actually not leading the goal kickers.
I know.
Alex Proud from Walkerville's got
Alex.
6 on him at the moment. So I know we had a agreement. Maybe we had a buddy bet. Before there was buddy bet.
I'm still drinking in the West End draft thanks to you, Phil, and more importantly, Alex Forster.
Yeah, well, we're not going down that road again. Those leading goal kickers, Adam Proud, Walkerville, 52, Alex Forster, Pembroke, 46. Tommy Lee Russo, that'd be his one to call, from the Cats on 37, and Daniel Nobes from Hope Valley, 36.
Well, Daniel Nobes is a man who's no stranger to goals. Mate, he was the full forward at Wakefield for quite a while and kicked over 100 goals 3-4 years in a row, I think. So, and Lindsay Thomas is sitting there on 32 goals in 6th spot. 200 games of AFL football for North Melbourne. No one's got more credit in this competition than Lindsay Thomas. So they're the interesting one for me, Phil. Portland, just outside of the 5. Great revival in comparison to where they've been. No question about that. They're 1 point behind Paraka. Can they get into the top 5? The depth worries me.
Well, to use a Top Gun analogy, because I know we've both seen the movie in recent
times.
Loved it. The engine stalled big time last year.
Yeah.
Well, they stalled when they took the year off for COVID. They couldn't get them going at all last year. And you're worried if they get into a death spiral and never come out of it. Well, they've gone down to Div 4. They're 4 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw. Thank goodness they're in the mix, and well done to them for getting out of what looked to be a serious situation.
Fab went away on a weekend, and one of our family friends is the head trainer at Pulteney, and
going from one crash to another one now.
Yeah, look, 0 and 9, and he's not that confident at all that they might not even win a game this year, mate. Which is, not good to hear.
No, not too many clubs still left without a win, Phil.
I haven't done the sums this year. It'll come up on the weekly wrap in a couple. I'm waiting for the numbers to shrink a bit. The weekly wrap keep track of that. I think Pulteney would be one of the few in all the divs. Yeah, I think
A-grade sides.
Yeah, I don't think there's any others that come to mind. Golden Grove being one of the undefeated sides, along with Trinity at the other end of the equation. So Woodville South again find themselves in a relegation battle. They're just ahead of at the moment. Interesting and Walkerville was the other one, because Pembroke and Walkerville got demoted end of 2018. 2020, Walkerville won the premiership. Pembroke went out in straight sets, but there was no promotion. 2021, they finished 1 and 3, both lost their prelim. So they've been knocking on the door. Strong clubs, maybe they'll get through. So they're the two. But the Pembroke are playing a Friday night game this week.
Yeah, Norwood Oval. I think they did that last year, so it's interesting because I would imagine that wouldn't be a cheap exercise to hire Norwood Oval. I'm not sure whether there certainly is a bit of an Norwood connection out at Pembroke, so maybe someone's been able to grease some palms. I'm not sure. Jimmy Fantasia's looked after him, obviously, with a sweet deal. But what a place to play footy. I'm sure the boys will be looking forward to that. Who's it, Pembroke versus Hope Valley?
Hope Valley, which is first versus fourth. We haven't mentioned Hope Valley at all. I mean, they're sort of in the slipstream at 5-3-1. Elsewhere, Pulteney and Portland. Last year's strugglers against being hosted by this year's, I guess. Kenilworth and Walkerville, expect the Cats on the road. Paraka, now you were saying Paraka you reckon might be the dark horse?
Look, if you want to have a buddy bet there, Phil, I'll put some money on the Paraka to play off actually in the grand final, mate. That's how confident I am. That's a big call.
I turned up for a show and everybody wants to buddy bet me.
Well, it's only because Lambo's been to see Ditz at the baker. What's the bakery called?
No, the fabulous baker boy, Ditz. We love you, mate. You do a great job there, mate.
So long ago that Ditz brought some donuts into the show for us, but it's been a while.
I'll get onto it, Sean.
We get him a wrap every week, don't we?
Yeah, no.
Ditz. Come on, Ditz.
Not as much food here as I remember from years previous. And the final game did for Mitcham 9th. They need a win. I'm not sure they'll get it when they host my boys, the great Plimpton Bulldogs. Sitting in third and just lying in the slipstream, ready to upset Pembroke and Walkerville again. That's the 9 News Division 4. More divisions coming up after the break.
Well, here we are, folks. It's Division 5 Roundup. My name is Tony Neal. I'm with Vince Cosme, and it's the Division 5 Wakefield Sports Clinic. And Vince, I'll cover the bottom 5 and you can cover the top 5. And here we go in Division 5, because our bottom 5, Kilburn, Gepps Cross, Blackfriars, St Paul's and Salisbury. Interesting thing, Kilburn in 6th position are now at 5 and 4. They've come up a little bit in recent times, and they are actually equal with Colonel Light Gardens in 5th position in regards to their win-loss ratio. So they're pushing. They're pushing, yes. Now, Gepps Cross are 4 and 5. However, they have got the 3rd best defence in the league. Yep. So if they can just find some scoring options up forward, they're also going to push. So it's really jammed up in that 6th and 7th position. Because we go down, Blackfriars, St Paul's and Salisbury. Blackfriars have won 2, lost 7. St Paul's 1 and 8, and poor old Salisbury 9, so they've got a few troubles out there. The big game to look at now coming up, round 9, Gepps Cross versus Kilburn. So that is 6th versus 7th, and there's a ding-dong battle going on there. So that's the next game coming up after the bye, 18th of June. And of course, the other one I allude to, Vince, because I'm covering the bottom half, is St Paul's and Salisbury, the bottom 2 teams. But can Salisbury manufacture a win?
And get off the mark.
So we wish all the teams in that bottom 5 all the best. And Vince, what have you got for the top 5?
Well, it's a tale of, thank you, Tony. It's a tale of a couple of teams that are 2 games clear, Lockleys and Hectorville, and massive percentages, 244 and 212. They are absolutely well above anyone else in this league at the moment. Lockleys, of course, premiers in the shortened season in 2020. They lost their opening 3 last year, and then they went on to win 8 in a row, became top of the ladder in round 12 before collapsing to a point to actually finish 5th. And, of course, we only had the top 4 in the shortened finals last year. So they lost to Hectorville in the first round this year, and again then have gone on to win 8 straight. And only in that time, Gepps Cross, who got within 6 goals, and Blackfriars, who got within 5 goals. They're the only teams to get within 50 points of them during that 8 game winning streak. Yeah. Hectorville, very similar. Their only loss was to Elizabeth in round 4. And after beating Lockleys by 3 goals in round 1, only Colonel Light Gardens, who got within 4 goals of them, and Gepps Cross got within 2 goals of them. Both those matches were away for Hectorville. No one else has got within 10 goals of Hectorville. They are clearly the 2 most dominant teams in the division. Couple of games behind. Eastern Park suffered a little surprise loss last match out at Kilburn. Their other losses have been significant, but against the top 2 teams, which is no surprise. And, of course, the season highlight for them was the 20 goals to Sean Mansell out of the 41 they got in a 250-point demolition of St Paul's in round 2. As for Elizabeth, more than holding themselves after coming up from Div 6, doing really, really well. They seem to be the dominant team in Div 6 this year, and that's carried over with their form. When you look at how Blackfriars and St Paul's are going, struggling a little bit.
And maybe watch them come finals. They know how to win finals.
Yeah, and not only that, they have consolidated and are a good chance of obviously, well, they will probably play finals this year and continuing on to consolidate. Of course, 3 teams. Remember that I said 3 teams come up because it was a 9-team competition last year, and only the 2 went down. They beat Hectorville in round 4, so that was they copped a couple of heavy losses to Eastern Park and Lockleys, and Colonel Light Gardens also got hold of them in round 6. So they've got a tough run home. They got Colonel Light Gardens, Eastern Park and Lockleys in the last 4 matches, so they'll want to use the next few weeks against some of the lower sides to shore up that finals position, and they should be fine. But having those tough games leading into a final series and playing the opposition that you're likely maybe to see again in the finals is probably a good thing for them. Colonel Light Gardens in 5th. They beat Elizabeth at Elizabeth, so that was a good win for them. But they just lost to Kilburn actually quite heavily on the road. And we talked about Kilburn's form the last couple of weeks. They've been quite good because they beat Eastern Park and Colonel Light Gardens. So the Lions are at most stake of missing the finals, especially given Kilburn's good form in the last couple of weeks. The return match at home at Mortlock Park versus Kilburn in round 17 could be the game that actually decides who potentially could get fifth spot in there. And given that they finish against St Paul's, you'd expect them to win that. Kilburn have a tougher game in round 18, but it could be that game in round 17 that decides who gets the last spot in the finals, Tony. And I think that's about it for Division 5. So good luck to all those teams in the finals. Hopefully they'll all be hoping to stay there, or in the top 5, I should say, and we'll be back shortly.
Welcome back, folks. Between the Post mid-season special, we're going through every division in the men's competition, A grade wise, and we're at the O'Neill Sportswear Division 6. Last year in Division 6, it was the Elizabeth Eagles that ran the table, went undefeated, won it all, went up to Div 5, and we may be seeing something similar this year with Trinity Old Scholars, who are 8-0 and a highest percentage in the league of 71.9. They are demolishing everyone, Jacko. Who's going to stop them?
Well, I did hear you use that expression, there's daylight second, and I hate that expression because I've been in that position before where you're sitting second and someone says that and you go, hey, what about me? So who is in second spot, Phil?
Well, it's my Marion Rams. I'm a member of Club Marion, a wonderful facility near where I work, often frequent at post work, and they were the ones who got closest. They got within 25 points, but Trinity dominant. They've scored an average of 105, conceded an average of 41, and for the maths, that's an average winning margin of 64 points.
Wow.
25 the closest, and they won a close one against Para Hills by 171.
Playing some consistent footy there, Phil, and at the moment, it's all in front of them to go. Imagine if they go through the season undefeated.
Well, it almost becomes a pressure until itself, isn't it, when you're going through undefeated? Because there's enough pressure to win as it is and win the premiership, but when does that start to build? Is it at this point now when you've beaten everybody and you're heading for home?
Look, I think that if you draw back on the famous example of, was it Essendon, Kevin Sheedy's side that was undefeated, and they came in the last game of the year. I think they were playing West Coast in WA, and everyone said it'd be a good idea to lose that game so they've got a kick going into the finals. I think they won and went through the season undefeated. I don't think there's any real pressure on about win-loss. If you're good enough to win by 64 points on average per week, I think you just keep doing what you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's this division, it's only 9 teams, the only odd division in the comp, and it's almost split in 4 at the halfway. Trinity, something between them and Marion and West Croydon for the challenges. Central United and Brahma Lodge, they were the Div 7 teams going up.
And it's good to see them going really well.
2 years ago, Central United were what I call the Atlas team. They were holding up the entire competition. They're in the finals mix in Div 6. Rosewater took a while to get going, but have got going now. Fitzroy, who were winless last year, have got a couple on the board. And then, that Fitzroy, Ingle Farm, Para Hills trio, it's 3 teams, one will survive. It's Division 6 survivor at the bottom of that table. And look, this is what I love about the Adelaide Footy League. I mean, we can talk about premiers, but every team plays for something.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's the joy of the competition. So who are our bottom 2 sides?
Ingle Farm and Para Hills at the moment. Now, Fitzroy have, in safety, 37.7%. Ingle Farm are 37.6%.
Yeah,
so
not a lot in it, is it?
if that continues, bring your calculator. And what do we got? Oh, yeah, June 18. Para Hills play Fitzroy. If the Roys get up, they get a gap, and I think that will just about be the end of Para Hills. July 23, Ingle Farm, Para Hills. And round 17, Ingle Farm, Fitzroy, which is Ingle Farm's last game because they have the bye in the last week.
Well, Lambo's got a strong association with the Ingle Farm Footy Club. He would be hating to see that.
Wrapup.
Yeah, the old doggies. They've been struggling a bit over the years, but I played all my juniors there and still got a lot of respect and
Got your
time for
photo
them.
up there, I believe.
Beg your pardon?
Your photo's up there.
So it should be, Phil. No, I'm only mucking around. Yeah. Yes.
You took Tony Neal's photo down and put yours up, did they?
Yeah. But Tony asked me to sign his, though, Sean.
Yes, good.
Here's the interesting one, and I'm not sure if we just forgot to input these guys, but if you look at the leading goal kickers, leading is Patrick O'Day from Marion, 26. Daniel Wheatra, we've seen him take some good marks. 25, Woodcock from West Croydon 24. But that top 6, there isn't one from Trinity.
Yeah, and they're on top.
They're scoring 105 points a game, and they don't have a goal score above 20. Something's gone.
Well, they're spreading all the workload up forward, and it's been consistent. It's not just one or two players dominating, Phil. You got 6 or 7, and then you got young ballers, and there's probably a few from the half-back line coming out having a kick too.
Beware the tossers.
Yep.
Is that what you called them back in the day when you used to play them, the tossers?
I never played them against Trinity, but Trinity Old Scholars are known as the tossers, TOS.
Okay. Rosewater this week have the bye. Game of the week, West Croydon and Central United, 3rd versus 4th. Elsewhere, you think Marion, probably over Brahma Lodge at Sturt Road. Para Hills and Fitzroy is a massive battle to survive. And Trinity, I'm a bit worried about what they're going to do at home against your Farmers, Lambo.
Well, if the boys don't go out on a Friday night, they could be around the mark.
I get it. Farmers, Lambo. It's all comes together.
Get on your Hank.
I think that covers it. That's the O'Neill Sportswear Division 6. Back with more very shortly.
G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au.
Hi folks, it's time for our Division 7 review, and we're going to first start with the bottom 4 and just having a look at in 5th position O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale, who have improved this season. They're 3 and 6 at the halfway mark. Can they turn that into maybe a little bit where it's 4 and 5, or maybe even a 5 and 4 in the second half? Of course, the big reconciliation round versus Adelaide Lutheran on round 10, the 18th of June. We're looking forward to the live stream there. In 6th position and 7th position respectively, Flinders Uni and Mitchell Park on 2 and 7, and Mawson Lakes 1 and 8. That rounds out our bottom 4. But of course, our top 4 on top, how can we not go past Greenacres way out there on top with their 4 and against 9 wins? The big question here, how will they stay motivated in the second half of the season? Of course, Adelaide Lutheran are sitting 3rd with 6 and 3, but they're on 2nd if you look at their 4 and against. Houghton District are in 2nd with 7 and 2. Can they keep performing consistently? Sitting in 4th position, Hackham with 6 and 3. It looks like the top 4 are settled, and keep an eye out on that big round 11 game, June 25th. We're looking to live stream this game. Greenacres versus Houghton District, 1st versus 2nd. It will be an absolute ripper.
But Mahuta goes all the way. Where again, Mahuta?
Good grab by Anjana, then Crone late. It's Anjana the Grey. Anjana.
Hillholders win out best.
Life on the wire, Twitchy Frank.
Classic legend, Wild Planet kicking back, Crone dashing through, will beat the lot of them, Crone.
Laugh-a-Lay's coming out, and they reach the line, nearly a dead heat.
But this is speedy and professional. Profiteer for Mickey D is going to win easily.
Ed and continued to open them up late and won very impressively.
Hi folks, well, I'm standing in that spot we all dream about. It is, of course, right in front of the big sticks. Unfortunately, my dream turned into being a backman, so I was at the wrong end of the ground. Let's have a look at our goal scorers so far in Division 7, 5 and 3 for this point of the season. Division 7, Matthew Gibson of Greenacres on 52. Well, I tell you what, he's on the way to a ton if we're halfway through the season. Jake Martin on 39, fair way behind from Houghton Districts. Thomas Takano on 25 at Greenacres also, and Trevor Rigney, 24 from O'Sullivan's Beach, Lonsdale. Trevor Rigney always up there in the goal scorers. Division 5, brought to us by Wakefield Sports Clinic, and of course Sean Mansell on 48 after scoring 20 goals in round 2. That young man is from Eastern Park. Ben Haran, well, he's on 45 from Lockleys. Both of these gentlemen are also a chance to get to the 100. The next in line there is Jared Clinton with 36 from Elizabeth, and Jack Goodman Glasson on 35 from Hectorville. Division 3, SipnSave. Liam Verity from Modbury up there on 49, so another one with an opportunity to get to the century. A little bit behind now, Aaron Filkey on 34 from Westminster, Justin Hardy on 34 from Flinders Park, and Joel Hoskins on 33 from the ladder leaders, Golden Grove. That is our leading goal scorers for this point of the season.
Welcome back. Time for what many say is the best part of the show, because we're really not part of it, is where the players are the stars. It's time for our plays of the week. We're at the halfway point, so coming up we're going to show you the goals and marks of the week for the first 9 rounds, then our round 9 nominations. But don't forget, if you've got one better, we want to see it. We want to throw it in the mix. So if you do have one that you think is worthy of goal and mark of the week or even of the year, send it to Facebook. Well, maybe not to Facebook, but go to Facebook and send it to Filming Footy, the Filming Footy page on Facebook. Here they are, the plays of the year thus far.
Get a quick and easy low-rate car loan from Police Credit Union today.
9 News, teaming up with the Adelaide Footy League. Tom Wren on the ground at your club for Thursday Night Live, strengthening communities through footy.
Get a quick and easy low-rate car loan from Police Credit Union today.
Welcome back, folks. Well done. You've made it to the final segment of the show. Time for our last word. Thanks to Police Credit Union, policeu.com.au. Jacko, your final thoughts for what's been a huge mid-season show.
It's been a long show, and I hope everyone's been able to watch the whole show. Hopefully, probably not in one sitting, but if you've got this far, thanks very much. I guess what I'm looking forward to is going out to Glenunga for the first time. Had some firsts this year with we've mentioned Old Iggy's winning their first game, so it's my first chance to see a game, call a game at Glenunga, so I'm looking forward to that. And the first time I've actually had a chance to have a look at Port District's revitalised side as well, with some good inclusion. So really looking forward to this Saturday and the rest of the year.
Been a good first half. Lambo, your thoughts?
From the boundary line, it's been a fantastic first half of the year, Phil and Jacko. Second half of the year is going to be even better. Few weeks leading up to finals, everybody's there's going to be more expectations, and can't wait, mate. And the show tonight's been fantastic, so I can't wait.
Just want to thank, it's going to be a long list, all our guests. Tony Neal with all his interviews, Morgan Knight, James Schwartz, Luke Ivans from Flinders Park, Ben Bamford, Paul Merritt from Greenacres, Geoff Riddle, plenty of insight. Great that he came in on his long weekend. My last word, play HQ, pull your finger out. Stop the conspiracy, stop trying to turn us into Victorians, and on behalf of our league and every other league in the state, please return our percentages to the South Australian way it's been for about 100 years. End of request. Thank you for being part of the show, and whatever you get up to during the week, whatever shots you take, we all hope they all go straight between the posts. Goodbye.